Hey guys, if you're seeing this, that means you're watching my first YouTube video ever. My name is Skylar, and this is Bad Stack Diesel. Yeah, so I wanted to put a little precursor out there before you see the Will It Start video, that this was all filmed on a very outdated iPhone. I don't have drones or anything like that. I want to acquire all such things. So if you want to see a channel grow from literally 0 subscribers to 100, hopefully more, follow along. I am mostly drawn towards anything diesel. Have been that way since I was a little guy. But anyway, this channel will mostly be about Will It Starts and trying to revive old equipment, and then you'll see some personal projects in there, like this F800 behind me. Yes, that's 4-wheel drive. Yes, it's a Cummins. Yes, it's a 6-speed manual. And yes, I have big plans for it. But anyway, I hope you guys stick around to the end of the video. If you feel like it, I know I have given you no reason to subscribe, but go ahead and hit that button because it literally costs nothing and impacts you none, but it would really help me out. Yeah, I just want to start this YouTube journey and see where it goes. So enjoy the video. Again, I apologize for the terrible cameramanship. Pardon my dog barking at the squirrels there. But I hope you guys stick around. I hope you watch the entire thing, and I hope you give me a chance to show you some pretty cool projects. I got a lot of stuff in the works. And again, I hope to acquire better cameras, better editing equipment, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully I'll convince the wife to make some appearances. Anyway, yeah, I hope you guys kind of follow the growth of this channel, and if you're seeing this, that means you're one of the very first. So I appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video, and yeah, enjoy. All right, guys, here we are. We are out at Bobby's Ranch. This place is actually amazing. Currently, the granddaughter and her husband are in the process of trying to revamp the place, clean it up. There's so much equipment and history and just old school ways of, like the barns here, built from the trees off the land using a sawmill that's just over there in the distance. Like super, super cool. There's old equipment everywhere. And apparently out back here, there's 20,000 acres that they can ride on. So just a really cool place. Look them up, Bobby's Ranch. I believe we're in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Actually, this is Westford, Massachusetts. So Bobby's Ranch in Westford. They do guided trail riding. There's boarding. Anyway, look them up. Come check them out. Super cool place. Anyway, the original owner, or I believe the grandfather of the lady that kindly led us up here, this is her grandfather's machine. 1971 Insley. It's an 875 model. It has a Detroit 471. Inslee was founded in 1907 by a gentleman with the same last name. A lot of cranes, a lot of drag lines, and then it looks like they just sort of naturally got into excavators. This unit is interesting, where the undercarriage is actually not what you'd expect on an excavator. This is more like what you would see on an early crane, but makes sense since their history with making cranes. It was just a natural evolution for that to flow into their excavators. You see these outboard sprockets with chains, not something you'd see on a modern machine. These giant tensioners. I'm not sure how much room is left to tension those up. But anyway, super cool machine. Weighs about 40,000 pounds. According to them, they came out and played with it. I I don't know if they themselves did, but someone else played with it a little bit and discovered that some of the cable-driven hydraulic actuators were seized up and just kind of left it there. They said the key felt funny. But literally, the story is that just over 20 years ago, this is verified by the granddaughter of the owner, it was used to clear some land, and then it was, you know what, we'll park it up by the rock wall there. And that's where it sat. 20 years, just one of those things. You actually see it all the time. Once you've used your equipment for your main intended purpose, it's not often you need a machine this big unless it's your, form of business. You run an excavation company, so it got parked and it sat, and not intentionally, it has developed a serious case of sit-itis. But super cool machine. Can't wait to get rolling on this rig. So again, a Detroit 471. If you haven't researched Detroit diesels, do it. Such a cool design philosophy. These are two-stroke diesels. If you get a Detroit 8V-71, you're essentially getting two of these 471s mated at the base and at an angle. So you take this inline 4, put it at an angle, and slap another one on it. And of course, that's a very terrible description, but then you have an 8-cylinder 71, and that's when they put the V in there. So if Detroit diesel has a V, it is obviously like a V8. If you don't see it, so you'll see like a 671, that's an inline 6, a 471, inline 4. If you see a 12V71, that is two 671s mated into a V configuration. Super cool. You see the giant intake here. This is actually a supercharger. So a lot of modern diesels, they're going to be turbos, but this is how they got the extra power. But yeah, super cool. Looks very complete. Just love that logo. I mean, that is so cool. I gotta get that on a sweatshirt or something. Oh my gosh. Anyway, the owners are very doubtful that this thing will run, move, do anything, and I am looking forward to hopefully proving them wrong, kindly proving them wrong. I guess other people have been messaging about this machine, just wanting to cut it up, scrap it, but it's a little tough to get a low boy in here. It'd be tough to cut it up, and you'd be hard pressed to find something that could drag this machine, move it. I mean, so much work. I mean, it sounds easy, like, oh, we'll just scrap it. That's not easy. It's honestly the easiest bet would be to get it running and moving under its own power. Yeah, so if you look up Insley, there is no information on this company. I mean, the Wikipedia page is basically a sentence. So if you know anyone that worked for Insley, owned Insley, or has any inside information on these, has corrections for the description I've made, I would love to actually know about this company. I want to raise some public interest in this company, because obviously looking online, there's so much equipment out there under this name, but no one can find out the history on it. And I find that stuff so cool, so fascinating. Anyway, enough chit chat. Let's start looking at what we got. Belts are intact. Might actually hold. We'll go ahead and check the oil. We'll look at the condition of the hydraulic fluid. I'm not too optimistic about that. Here's where our batteries go together. Could use a little cleanup. That one's not looking so hot, but it's a clamp style. So if we just give that apparently it's still holding on there pretty good. But we'll try to get these out, reclamp onto this lead, maybe cut it back. I've got some stuff with me. There's not a ton of lead there. Big old hydraulic pump down here. Look at all this stuff. It's actually a ton of room in there. I mean, goodness gracious. You put a living quarters on this thing and never have to leave your machine. Unreal. Unreal. Big old hydraulic tank. I mean, look how easy it would be to empty it out though. This thing is massive. It is massive. I mean, obviously there's bigger excavators, but 40,000 pounds in this footprint, it's a big machine. It's a big machine. All right, I'm gonna work my way from the engine forward. I'm not gonna really even bother trying to turn this over with the key. I don't think. So let me go ahead and get some batteries in here. Hopefully over time I'll acquire the equipment I need to be able to park my filming equipment and film me doing everything, or get a cohort to follow me around. My wife is here, but it's super cold, so I'm not gonna make her come out and hold the camera and freeze to death. This is not her hobby, this is mine. But we'll go around it and I'll try to film what I can, and we'll see if we can get this girl to come back to life. All right, guys, let's take a look at the oil here. Wow. I'm impressed. It's just got to see what there's the low and full. Look at that. It's so cool. It's just stamped in. Now that I know what I'm looking for. Well, it's technically over the full mark, but I can live with that. All right, step one, check. I want to make sure all this stuff isn't seized. Let's see if I get a better angle here. Well, we got movement out of it. We'll hit it with some penetrating fluid, and then once it frees up, hit it with some actual lubricant. All right, guys, I'm just going around and hitting everything with some PB blaster here. Hoping it'll weep through this cable housing. It's just like a twisted steel housing, so I mean, everything moves. But the cables are suspect. But we'll see. You never know. We're going around with the PB. PB is not a good long-term lubricant. It's just not. It's not. First of all, it's not its intended purpose. Sorry, I'm not good at this camera thing. Let's see what else we got going here. I do have some Scotch-Brite. I'm looking at some of those cylinders, pretty scored up. If that's in its idle state, then hopefully what's up inside the cylinder, I believe these are the hydraulic actuators. Now that guy looks crusty. There's actually dirt all up against it. All right, first look at the fuel system. Something down in there. Do my best to see what exactly that something is. I'll figure that out in a minute. I was just kind of eyeballing the fuel system for a minute. Put this plug-in back on. Do my best. Soak the leads in PB, then spread them out like a fan and wire brushed them and then reclamped them. It's not going anywhere. I'm having a little trouble figuring out which one's positive, but I gotta get some more covers off this thing and I'll be able to tell. Just looking at one of these guys is the fuel strainer, one of them is a fuel filter, but this is the incoming line from the tank. Then this line comes out. It goes down to the pump, which is that guy right there, this little guy. So you got the inlet on the back side here. This is the outside, or the feed line. Goes up to that other filter there, and then off to your injectors. So, figure out, before I go too far, does this engine turn over? So that's the next task here. All right, guys, Jeff's down inside that hold there, and got to look at the starter and figured out which lead is positive and negative. Just taking a quick look at the radiator. Let's see here. I'm surprised that turned so freely. You're looky there. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's actually green liquid in there. Huh. Well, that's a positive sign. Anyway, where I just was, looking down here at the hydraulic system, but I was taking a look at the starter down there. Obviously, you got your alternator generator down there. But now that I know which lead is which, I'm going to throw my big, I use these in my F800s. One of my F800s has an 8.3 Cummins. These big, I think they're 1100 watt or 1100 amp batteries. Cold cranking amps. But they've been faithful to me. Got a couple of those, got my big ratchet set. All right, let's keep going. All right, guys, battery's hooked up terribly, but better than it was. I know I'm not using even half of the gauge of the wire, but we're gonna give it a shot. Air cleaner looks stinking mint. Like, I'm surprised there's no rodents. Pulled that cover off. She looks brand new under here. I mean, this, I don't want to speak too soon, but that's the air cleaner. Ugh. There's that. We can spritz a little diesel down her when the time comes. All right, we're gonna keep chugging. I taped up part of that positive lead going up to the solenoid there. Just looked like it was frayed and I didn't want it shorting out on the housing of the solenoid. But I checked the ground connections, cleaned them up. I have high hopes. They're really high hopes. Battery's hooked up, leads aren't getting hot. I don't think there's any sort of short going on. So in theory, I think think that's Smalley right back down there. This guy over here. I think that terminates, of course it's on the back side of the solenoid. I mean, definitely ground. That's positive going back out to the starter motor. That's the positive input for the solenoid. That's got to be the signal to activate the solenoid. So, in theory, I can... Oh, yeah, something metallic back there. Let's try it. Oh! Would you looky there? Just spitting a little smoke. Oh, look at that. All right. That was easy-ish. So she's not stuck. Hey, there's a little smoke coming out the tailpipe. I don't know if you can see that or not. Wow. Didn't even have to free up the starter by banging on it. Nothing. Wow. Okay. So that happened. Now, the fuel shut off on this. I'm a little worried that, I don't want to be cranking endlessly, but, and obviously I'm going to bleed the lines, but I don't know how hard it's going to be to draw fuel from that tank. The lines are plugged. If there's a electronic, I'm assuming it's got to be mechanical. It's got to be a mechanical shut off. And I'm assuming it's probably tied. I haven't looked at an operation manual of this, but it's got to be tied to the throttle. If I had to guess. Man, those bad Larrys are seized right up. Emergency only? I think that's what that says up there. Emergency only. Well, we're gonna have to figure that out. Oh, some stuff is gonna be seized on this bad boy. That's okay. Let's worry about that motor. All right, so what I did learn from the owner was this is a starter switch. So we know the starter works. Key is on. This is it's definitely the starter switch. Thank you. All right, after my foolish runaway, again, don't light me up in the comments. Why would you do that? Beginner's excitement. All right, so I'm gonna start looking at the fuel system here. So I believe I found the fuel throttle control. Cable is that kind of newish looking red cable. The rod goes across. It activates that bar that you can see up there. It's actually on a little swing arm. You can see the rod coming out right there. That rod coming out, going out, and then it actuates back and forth. Just playing with this. And the cable does push up some. I don't think the cable's totally seized. So I want to make, before I reef on that, I want to make sure that there's not something going on. Not like a throttle lock up in the cab or something that I'm fighting against. Which I do see some buttons up on top. Oh yeah, there's a ratchet mechanism in there. And there's a little ratcheting tooth in there. Not ratcheting, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so those should be able to push up and down, and they feel pretty stiff. Let's give everything in there a hit, shall we? Each button a hit. Again, I apologize for my terrible camera skills. I hit anything and everything. Maybe it's a stiff. Just want to make sure I'm not fighting that mechanism in some way. So that, see if I can figure out where my camera is. So the button is supposed to push that little guy that engages with those teeth. So that bar on this one, not really getting a good angle on it, but anyway, the rods, this is the rod, and that pin goes through the thing that's supposed to go up and down. Works now. So it ratchets back, push it down, here she goes forward. Oh, gotta turn the key on. Oh, that was a great sound. Love that sound. Key is on. Anyway, there's definitely a voltage draw on this because I didn't have those batteries plugged in for very long and it sucked them dry pretty quick, so figure that out. But I got the key off just in case the draw was coming from there. I don't think I had it on earlier, but I've been known to lose track of things. So anyway, got the jumper cables on the truck, charging up the battery here, so we'll give it a few minutes, then we'll give her a crank over. Well, hot. All right, guys, just made a trip to the hardware store. Had the batteries charging while we drove over there. Oh, geez. Picked up some stuff to patch a hydraulic leak because it is gushing hydraulic fluid. Anyway, those are attached to the side of the bed. And I had the cable super safely running up the side of the truck. All right, so the hydraulic leak we're looking at, a couple times it cranked over, I finally figured out where all this fluid's coming from. Just on the back side of this pipe here. Didn't even see it. Looks like there's supposed to be a fitting like that. Obviously the weld or something gave out. But I got a fix to at least slow it down. Got some bottles for spraying actual diesel fuel down there. Forgot to bring. We're gonna go the old JB route. Backed by JB weld first. Bend that piece of metal to fit the profile of the pipe. Put that over the JB. And use 3 or 4 pipe clamps, apple clamps, whatever you call them. All right, guys. I'm letting the JB weld dry. It's underneath that metal plate, which I applied while the epoxy putty was still soft. Even if it leaks, you just don't want it to leak so bad. I mean, you saw it, it's like a 1-inch hole. I don't want that just gushing the whole time. Batteries have been charging this whole time for well over an hour, and on a road trip to the hardware store. Got my temporary diesel fuel set up. We're close, and I am very hopeful. Still waiting for that JB water weld to dry. I went with the water weld because it's rated for up to 1300 psi. Again, not a permanent fix. Do not recommend doing this on a tractor that you depend on. I do not recommend doing it somewhere external to the tractor where this could fly off and hit someone. You know, when this thing is doors are all closed, it's caged up, plus the hole is facing inwards towards the engine bay. I would not do this on the exterior of a tractor where someone might get an apple clamp, you know, to the bean, and yeah. Anyway, I've got that vice grip up there holding the detent down, or the button down, so that I can operate the throttle from the back and the ratcheting mechanism doesn't lock it up. So I can quickly kill it if I have to. All right, battery's all hooked up. JB weld's nice and dry. Here we go. too shabby. Yeah, there's some little actuator on this supercharger that I need to understand better, because that seems to have been the solution. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Thank you, babe. All right, so this guy, something like that. All right, let's go see if she'll fire up again. Here we go, boys and girls. 1971 Insley Excavator. Wow, she sounds good. She sounds real good. Let's check on our leak. Take my accessory cord leads off. My leads off the truck here. Oh, she sounds real good. A little tricky to get in and out of. All right, we're gonna release our so now swing. Got a leaking cylinder there. We might have sprung a leak, boys. Oh yeah. JB Weld let me down. We saw the bucket go up for the first time in years. I mean, look at that. And she actually swung on her axis a little bit. All right, guys. Day 2, I wasn't able to get down here early as I would have liked to, but we're going to see if we can patch up that hydraulic leak a little better than I did the first time. I think the reason it blew, I mean, obviously the the first application of JB Weld did not have a very long time to cure. I didn't use very much, and it's also just a terrible way to patch a hydraulic line. But I am not equipped to do mobile brazing I do have a torch at home, but just a little complicated to get it all down here and set up. And I definitely was building up a ton of pressure in the system because I didn't realize I was trying to swing the boom. I should say swing the whole tractor on its center axis there, and the bucket, you know, was buried about 1 foot into the ground, so I was trying to spin the tractor and essentially tweak the whole boom left or right. So hopefully without that kind of stress on it, she'll just want to crawl its way out of its grave there, but we shall see. I'm going to jump on to repairing that hydraulic line, and we're going to go from there. Oh, and I discovered the reason it was running so bad yesterday. I was out of fuel, so definitely the hose is at the bottom and it was picking up some air. But man, this thing sucks down some fuel. Just drinks it right up. Anyway, gonna there it is. Gonna make another second attempt at a bad patch job, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, moment of truth. Hydraulic leak, terribly fixed. Battery installed, fuel good. Got these chains lubed up and broke free as best I can. Again, I'm being over optimistic. Key on. Now this is the first start since yesterday, so we're gonna have to prime it a little bit, but still got the zip tie on the supercharger valve there. Here we go. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go again. Here we go. Well, I think she's got a few more hydraulic leaks than we can fix here. So, in my terrible camera work, it did move. Moved about 2 feet forward, and the solenoid got stuck, so that was cool. Kind of panicked a little bit. It looks like a Las Vegas fountain. It rains down the hydraulic fluid, but you know, the owner's just looking to scrap it. So, but anyway, I'm gonna fire it up, see if I can get it to move just a little bit to prove to you guys that this thing runs and moves, and that's a success. All right, I'm gonna fire this sucker up. All right. Well, you saw it here first, folks. It moves, it leaks. That's a success in my book. 1971 Insley, sitting for at least since 2001. It was used to clear this land originally. They actually built all the barns here with wood from this property, and this was the machine they used to take down those trees and drag them over to the sawmill. So pretty cool history, and it's one of those cases where it had a purpose when they bought it. They used it for that purpose, got this awesome business off the ground, parked the machine thinking, you know, we'll use it someday, and just never happened. But anyway, it lives at least one more time, and the future is up to whoever buys this old beast. But yeah, that's a wrap for this one, and hopefully lots more abandoned equipment will be coming back to life. Hopefully one of them will be in good enough shape where I can actually buy it, fix it, use it. This one, so many hydraulic lines. I'm talking the actual steel lines rotted. I thought they were in pretty good shape, but like anything, once they're under pressure, all the leaks start showing themselves. Every cylinder leaks. Half the cables are frozen in the cab. I have to actuate the pistons manually or the solenoids manually. Anyway, a little bit more of a chore than I'd be willing to take on. But she runs, drives. We saw the bucket move. She swings. It's pretty darn cool. I love this kind of stuff. All right. I just wanted to show you, this is running off of the diesel that's in the tank from 20 years ago. Out of curiosity, I thought the original reason it wasn't starting was the old fuel, so I switched over to my little yellow tank. But nope. Unreal. What a cool old machine.